welcome back to my channel. Nice to have you on the show.
Thanks, Rosie, nice to be here.
Yeah, I'm so glad we could get you here after such a busy schedule. I know you're busy.
You could barely afford my fee.
I know, it was a struggle. I'm so pleased. You're such a big YouTuber.
Oh, thanks.
I'm honoured to have you on my small-time channel.
Should be. I'm going to do a lot for this channel. You need it.
And today we're going to be doing a real talk about living with OCD. And I've called it Living with OCD because even though I don't have OCD, I get to live with it.
Hey, I'm not the epitome, I'm not like the personification of OCD.
No, that's correct, but we do both live with it.
You're putting me in a box labelled OCD.
Lots of people ask me all the time, how is it living and coping with Rosie's OCD?
Fine.
It's not hard in any way for me. I don't find it hard. It did take some getting used to. I did have to learn a bit about your OCD and understand it a bit more, but actually I don't feel like, we've got to the point now in our relationship where I don't feel like I have to cope living with your OCD, I just live with you. So Rose is clinically diagnosed with OCD, and I was trying to think about this earlier. I can't remember when you told me you had OCD. It wasn't the first date, so I don't know when you told me.
It is actually the way I pick up women. They call me Rose. ROSIE.
I like what you did there, ROSIE.
I didn't do it at all, that's my nickname in college.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
They called you ROSIE?
Yes, my closest friend.
Oh my god. Did you worry that it would put a partner off you?
No, not really. I don't feel in any way like it could put someone off me, so to speak. I just feel like OCD has become a part of who I am in terms of my perfectionism, in terms of my creativity, in terms of my physique.
So you're saying it's only helped you in the positive?
It destroyed my life in my early teens and late teens, but now I feel like I've used it to be a positive thing.
So you've learned how to manage it to turn it into a positive tool?
Yes. Sometimes, having said that, it does get on my nerves when I can't concentrate on a new project unless the whole house is perfect with everything.
That annoys me as well.
Oh, really, does it?
Yeah.
Really? Well, you happen to live in a really clean house, so how much does it really annoy you?
I mean, that is a perk.
So I think a lot of the misconception comes from the fact that people assume people with OCD only have a problem with germs and cleanliness. So mine actually stems from the slightly darker side of OCD, the phobias that stem into intrusive thoughts that then lead on to like ruminations, that lead on to guilt, that leads on to a whole circle of like anxiety, depression, and again, rumination.
Yeah.
So I think that's where mine started, but it then kind of, once I had a grip on that, it now comes out in the cleanliness way.
Yeah.
That's how it comes out.
So it's gone full circle, basically.
Which is fine, because I feel like I can manage that much more, because when it's done and it's not out of control, then it's done and I leave it. When I had like a problem about sort of moral issues, ethics, it was much harder because I had no concrete solution to you don't sound really difficult, like it's
I know what you mean,
to
I know what you mean, because basically you were saying your OCD started being off a mental thing where you felt guilt, worry, you ruminated over things, you were constantly going over in your mind.
Right.
You're saying now that it's manifested itself in cleaning, that's fine, because you can, even though it's annoying, and it's annoying that you have to have everything perfect, at least you can physically do something and then carry on, whereas instead of carrying it around in your head.
Right, exactly. And people with OCD have a very hard time with uncertainty, but that's something that I have learned to deal with. So if I'm doing something, or if I'm thinking somewhere, or if I'm going somewhere, I can be uncertain about something, and that's okay.
Live with it.
Like before, if I thought something, I'd be like, what does that mean? And if I think that, then does this mean this? And how does that affect my moral code of conduct? And what does that say about my demeanour, or my character, or my moral character? It was all about morality, which is why I did a dissertation on Dexter the serial killer, ethics and morality.
So don't you think that because you were so concerned with like ethics and morality, that's actually not made you a better person than anyone else? Because obviously we're not looking down on anyone here.
I am a better person than most people.
But don't you think that helped develop you into a good person, because you spent a lot of time self-reflecting, thinking, is this right, is this wrong, what's the right thing to do? I mean, and do you think, okay, that was horrible and annoying because you had OCD, but in a way that's a positive thing, because it's good to, not too much, but it's good to self-reflect and think, am I a good person, is this moral what I'm doing, you know, how can I be a better person? That's a good thing to do, it builds character.
Exactly, Rosie, but more importantly, I think that because I was so hung up on these things, then yes, I do agree that in a sense that I do have a sort of a slightly higher moral code. I'm not Dexter. What I'm saying is I do have a heightened awareness of
right and wrong.
Right and wrong, exactly. And I think in life I always try and make the best choices, the most moral, and I always try and be a good person.
Yeah.
And I think that's okay to take with you after having such a chronic few years in my late teens with how the world works and understanding why bad things happen to good people and why people do bad things and what's different about them and me, and what makes people do crazy things and what makes people do great things. And it was really difficult for me to get my head around how all that worked and why it was different for people. But now I've realised that I am in fact perfect.
Do you think that part of it was because you were a teenager, and then that's harder because obviously you've got like social pressures, also you haven't learned all your lessons, not that I've learned all my life lessons, but as I've got older I've definitely developed my character, matured. So do you think it's partly that?
I think you're exactly right. I think when you don't know yourself, and I'm not even trying to make a joke here, this is genuinely true. When you don't have that kind of like knowledge of who you are through and through, because as you grow you do things happen to you, you evolve mentally, physically, and you take those things on board and you become yourself when you know yourself. I do think that when you're less confident in who you are as a person, then things will affect you more. One of my main issues is the fact that I'm so super intelligent that I genuinely think more than other people because I'm so super intelligent. So I think that any moral quandary that it might just go over someone's head affects me more because I'm so super intelligent.
Well, that's one way of looking at things, isn't it?
Well, it's the only way. They even said to me in my classes, Rose, the problem is you're super intelligent. And I was like, yeah, go on. One of your problems is you're also super attractive. I said, yeah, I know. So they said, you've pretty much got it all. So I was like, yeah. I think from 16 to 19, I had the worst depression of my life, and it got so bad where you have terrible thoughts about ending your own life, and you might even try it, but I wouldn't recommend it because genuinely I didn't think anything was going to get any better. I couldn't see a way out because I didn't have the certainty, I didn't have the reassurance that everything was going to work out in my mind, but it genuinely did. And I'm not saying it's going to be easy for everybody, but things do fall into place, and the more that you understand about your condition, the more you can learn to live with it and try and work it for you. I do think a lot of it comes down to actually researching it as a condition, and there are so many different levels of it and in so many different areas. I mean, you've got cleanliness, you've got irrationality that you think in your mind is perfectly rational, and you take an irrational thought and you make a very perfectly rational link to a thought that is totally rational in your mind, and you think, well, how can you tell me that that's irrational when I've got this evidence of links that makes it a perfectly rational thought? And it's breaking that down and realising when to just say, no, that's that for what it is, this is me for what I am, I know myself better than that to assume that this irrational thought has any reflection on my character or my actions or even my own thoughts. I should really be a psychotherapist.
You should write a book about it.
I should be like, you know what, I've suffered, I've been there. If I had any advice for anyone, it's that I think you are stronger than you think you are, always. So you're always going to win. Even on the days where I think, do you know what, I'm losing to this condition, new. We all have our days, even now, when I'm like, do you know what, I'm anxious, I'm upset, I'm worried, I'm making irrational connections to things that are rational, but are they? You need to understand that when you understand yourself and your condition, you'll understand that things do in fact get better.
I feel like Maltese is a psychotherapist on the side.
Yes. And also a very high-class hooker.
Yeah, I feel like that as well.
Yes.
Yeah. I've seen that side to them.
Yeah, you wish.
I live with your OCD, you've got to live with my clumsiness.
No, deal breaker.
I think if you are going to live with someone who has any condition like that, or anxiety, or any issue that they have, I think the first thing you should do to be a supportive partner is educate yourself about it. So I actually read one of Rosie's books about OCD, and I think that really, really helped because even though you've got OCD and you know what that was, the books for OCD still explain why you think the way you do. So it helped explain to me exactly why things are the way they are. And I think that we've got to the stage, it's been 4 years together, you know, we're married. I think if you have an OCD issue and you talk to me about it, I think I can be helpful. And that's actually makes me feel like rewarded and important, because I think, oh, Rose has got a problem with her OCD. If she talks to me about it, I can make a difference, I can help. And that makes me feel, yeah, really good, like I can help. So.
Exactly, and I read a book about your conditions so that I can help. You know, syphilis is a serious thing, it's very real.
Another thing that I would suggest you do if you're living with someone with OCD as well is not just understand it, but know the triggers, because I think that I can recognise almost instantly when you're having an OCD, and if I don't get it straight away, it'll take me a little while, but I'll think, oh, you're doing this because of this. Like I can make the connection. I
think that as a partner living with someone with OCD, it's important to understand the condition just as much, if not better than they do, so that they, as in Rosie, can see it from like an outside perspective. And sometimes that rationale is much more clear to the person that doesn't actually suffer from the condition.
Yeah.
You know, as compared to the person who does suffer.
Who's
but sometimes
it
can be a bit clouded. So I think that's very important. I think that from my point of view, it's important also to sympathise with the person that you're living with, because sometimes if you do have compulsions or compulsive behaviour like cleaning or like ruminating or constantly seeking reassurance, it's important to also, you know, understand that it can be it can be a big burden sometimes on your partner. So, you know, sympathise back and say, alright, excuse me, you know, you put a ring on it. You put a ring on it. You did.
Actually, what are you talking about? You put a ring on it.
Technicality.
So that was Real Talk Living with OCD. Anything else you'd like me to film, put it in the suggestions box below.
And make sure you like, comment and subscribe to this channel for more.
Subscribe! It was alright.
No, it wasn't even alright.